We have the green plant mat out, and that can only mean one thing. Let's see what's going to be repotted today. It looks like today we are replanting a group of 3 blue torch cactus or Pilosocereus. Full name on the screen or description below. We have this nice fishbowl pot for our cactus to be repotted in today. The reason I chose this pot mostly was because this nice blue edge that complemented the cactus very well. I like that it's not just green and blue, it kind of fades to both, which this cactus shows in its colors as well. So I'm excited to see how it looks when we get it repotted. The compost of choice today is this pre-mixed cactus and succulent potting mix that I've been using. It's mostly inorganic. It does have some organic in it, a little more than I like. So I like to kind of mix it here with just this plain red lava rock and then just some pumice. So that's when I mix my soils, I like to get the pot that I'm going to be using and the soils that I'm going to be using, and I pour them into the pot. We'll go about 50% of our pre-mixed cactus and succulent soil. We'll go about maybe 30% of our plain lava rocks, and then we'll throw some pumice on top. I guess you kind of got to guesstimate how big your root system is if you're not 100% sure. Most of the time I end up just filling it close to the top because it ends up usually always being the right amount, no matter how big the root system. So we'll go with something like that. Now we'll take our handy dandy brown box and mix it up. We'll give this a nice mix. I've never sifted my soils before, but I don't really find the need to because of how much natural aeration is in each of the components here in the soil. So I really like the way this mix is looking with the amount of organic versus inorganic. It's a little bit more what I'm looking for, maybe closer to 10% other than maybe like 30%. I like to water my plants as well as feed them, and I'm an indoor grower, so plants seem to hold on to moisture a little bit more indoors, so this little nicer soil mix will be perfect. We'll move this aside and we'll start breaking up the pot and check out our roots. The cactus is back on the green mat. Let's break up the dirt and get the cactus out and see what we're working with. Give it a nice squeeze around and break up that dirt. Seems pretty loose. It seems like there's quite a bit of root action in there. It's pretty compact in there. So here we go. We'll pull them out. Give it maybe a little bit of a tip. Pour some of this dirt out. This is my first time working with these guys, so they are a bit of a new creature to me, so we'll kind of learn what we're working with together. All right, there we go. That nice root ball and clump, very dry. The reason we're repotting this now is it's time for a watering. I'm not a big fan of watering with soil I don't know, or roots I'm unsure of, or anything. So every time before I water any new plant, it always gets repotted unless the plant's in kind of stress or something like that. And I think the repotting is going to do more harm than good. But I mean, usually a good repotting um, might stress the plant a little bit, but not enough to kill it. It usually ends up doing the opposite and making the plant quite healthy. So first off, I noticed that these guys were planted in the dirt quite low, so we kind of got to think about what we're going to do as far as pulling them out of the dirt. I mean, they're not the most attractive where they've been in the dirt, but it's also something that can change as time goes on, and we're always about the long term of the plants here, not um, looking for that instant gratification. So we'll always do what's best for the long term of the plant if it's in our best interest and it's in the plant's best interest. So these plants are our friends and they're blessings to have in our lives. I think we need to honor them and respect them and listen to them, and all will be well. All right, the roots are definitely grown together. I'm not sure I really want to split them up too much. I want to pull them apart because I want to give them a little more space in the pot to grow and thicken, obviously, and the the pot's a bigger diameter than what they were in, so we'll give them a nice placement in the pot. So that's the only reason we're breaking the roots off from each other, I guess. Plus, I'd maybe like to rotate the plants a little bit as far as front and back, and kind of how we do the placement of the three plants so we get the best out of all of them. So I think it's all right to split these guys apart gently. So yeah, we're good. That's a little more soil than I would like, so we're just going to take our time and gently kind of break up some of this soil. The roots are super dry, so we really don't want to lose too much roots just because it's a lot on the plant. But I think there's a bit of a misconception that losing roots and you're going to lose the plant, but coming from the bonsai world, sometimes a little root prune's the best thing you can do for a potted plant. So ever be afraid if you lose a root or two on a healthy plant. So all right, we'll just go through. It's looking much better. Definitely a cutting, a plant from cutting, which I'm more than fine with. Oh yeah, I believe so. It looks like a cutting. So I think maybe kind of just looking at this right now, I think maybe we'll go with about 50% of what's already out planted. I think that'll be more than enough for the plant. And we'll just kind of see how it changes and develops over time. So there's the first one there. Well, give it a little bit more down in here. I like the roots to have their space, to not be growing into each other, to be all growing kind of down instead of up and around. I don't know if it's just my personal preference or just what I've been taught in bonsai, or maybe a little bit of both, but roots grow down most of the time in nature, and we want our roots to grow down in our potted plants too. So it just brings more structure to the plant long term. All right, I'm pretty happy with that. We'll move on to the next one. That's this guy here. Man, gotta be careful with your fingerprints. That blue just kind of rubs off, but no problem. It'll come back before you know it. Man, pokey guys. I'm not a big fan of wearing gloves when I handle cactus. It just takes a matter of finding a place where you can put your fingers, and it seems to end up being all right. But I like that. I like to touch dirt, so get a real feel for the plant. This guy has a much more vigorous root system, as you can see. Um, it looks like, for the most part, growing in the ways we would like it. Definitely, yeah, a bit more vigorous root system, so good to see. Let's kind of break off these loose pieces of dirt that the roots have grown into. For me, I'd rather break a little tiny root than have some soil that I'm unsure of in my pots, as long as the plant's healthy, of course. And do I really know the plant's healthy? I mean, no. I've only had it so long, so I don't know its history, or its water schedule, or its feeding schedule, or any of that. But I've had it for a few weeks now, and I've not noticed any signs of bugs or pests or anything weird on it. So I think it's safe to say that it's healthy enough to give it a nice repot into some nice mixed soil. Miss this right here. I don't like that. Looking good enough. And we'll join that with this friend, and I guess I'll tip each other over. Pull a little thorn out of my finger, and we will get on to the next one. This one seems to be the biggest of the three, so we're going to try and work down here and not get our fingers on the blue. This cactus overall is much bigger than the other two as far as thickness. Its roots are pretty similar to the second one, so I'm pretty happy with these cacti, whatever, and excited to get them planted up and watered here in a couple days, which we'll go over my watering schedule and my watering, I guess the way I do it. I think it's quite a bit different than a lot of other people, and I think it could help some people. So we'll definitely do a video about that here soon, for not only cactus but for all plants. It's fairly similar but a little bit different, kind of based off of the type of plant it is. Um, More about, I guess, the time in between waterings than the actual watering process. So look forward to that. This guy's looking pretty good. Man, it's got quite fragrant roots. I don't know if I've not noticed this with plants before, or if it's just kind of the plants I've been working on recently, but plants, they all have like such a unique and nice smell. It's really kind of pleasant. I'll just kind of break up some of this dirt up in here in between the top of the roots under the base where that callus has been. It's healed nicely. The roots are nice. It's got a nice monstrous thick taproot. I don't know if you can see it in there. Just a thick guy. And then some nice thin guys. The thin roots are your roots that are active and soaking up most of the water. Not that the taproot's not, but all right. That is our 3 cacti all cleaned up, good enough for potting. We'll get the dirt in the pot at the proper level and get the placement of these guys figured out, and we'll see how they look. I had to leave the room quick to get a pot to dump the soil into, and the smell in here is just fantastic. So earthy. I wish I could describe or put a finger on how it smells in here, but it's pretty cool. I guess we got our pot out and our cactus are ready to go. So we will get our soil filled up to a good level and we'll work on our planting. First, maybe we should pick the front of our pot. So I guess we'll get out our spin wheel here and maybe pick what we like best. All right, first peek on the blue rim here. I really kind of do like the darker. It seems like as you spin it around, it's kind of one color. So we'll look at the darker here in the front of the pot here, and I think I'm not the biggest fan on that, but it's not really something you'll notice. Ooh, I really kind of like this as the front of the pot though. And maybe that blue in the back is really nice instead of in the front where it'll catch your eye a little bit more. And then just give it a little bit of a spin. This nice light blue in the front is actually really nice. I think we might have to pick the front here. It's yeah, too hard to beat right there. So we'll go with this as our front. We have our soil mixed, our front of our pot picked out, our cacti all cleaned up and ready to go. We'll just start scooping in some dirt until we get to a good height. That should be enough there. We don't want too much because, like I said, I like our roots growing down and not kind of out and around in all different ways. Plus, we would like to keep our roots as separate as possible. So with our roots growing down instead of spreading out, our plants won't grow together as much. First, we're going to start with our bigger cactus. I think maybe the back right is kind of where we're going to go with this guy. And I can already tell we're going to have to take some more rocks out in order to get those roots growing down. So we'll take out some rocks. That's looking at a much better height for the roots. Obviously, as we put more soil in, we'll raise the cactus to about this height. I think, yeah, about where it was planted, honestly, I think will look nicest. So we'll go about right there. With our placement of the biggest one in the back, we have to pick which one we want next in the back and which one we want kind of more front and center. I have a bit of a preference just based off of size, personality, and character of each of these two. First off, I like this one because it's kind of got the uniqueness to it. and it is a little bit smaller and pointier, so I think it will do best here in the front of the pot, and this one kind of complements the big one, and they can kind of hang out together in the back of the pot. So we'll get those two situated and go. We have our 3 cactus in the pot. Our layout is not 100% determined, but it's close enough to where we can put some dirt in the pot and kind of help us with stabilizing the cactus in order to get them in the perfect position that we would like. We'll put in a few small scoops just to kind of put some weight on the roots and kind of keep them in a downward position as we pull the cacti up and get them into the correct and proper alignment. Most of my pots aren't this big, so this little scoop's kind of silly, but it's doing the job. Let's get these guys aligned. We don't want it front and center necessarily, but we would like it maybe off to one side or the other, just a slight bit here. I think that is a fairly decent placing so far. Let's put just a touch more soil down around this one to hold it into place. It's a little hard to plant 3 things in one pot, especially by yourself, to get your placement dialed in the way you would like it, but this method seems to work pretty great and smooth for me, so I hope it can help you too. Let's get this camera angle adjusted a little bit to see if we like the height of this first cactus. I actually think we need to pull a little bit of the rocks out and get this one lowered again. When I moved it to the center to the left, it pulled it out a little bit, and I would like to get it a little bit more in the soil, so we'll do that. Instead of pulling them all out and emptying the dirt, I am getting the back two adjusted and slowly pushing the dirt from the front to the back. And now I realize instead of the front left side for the front one, I would like it on the front right side to complete this complementary look that I believe we have set up for ourselves. Hook those guys in. Move these back. Trying to get us that nice depth there. I really like the height. I really like the placement so far. This is working out great after thinking it was not going my way. So, I mean, isn't that just the way life is? Everything just works out the way it's supposed to, whether you think it is or not. And I guess that's here what we do at Growth. We incorporate a little bit of growth in your life and a little bit of growth in your plants. So this is looking stellar to me. This plant is a little bit higher than I'd like it to be still. We kind of want it to be a nice upward into that last one. So I'm going to pull out some rocks in. After a lot of scooping, adjusting, and sliding rocks around, and a few thorns, I think we got these to a place where we can start putting some rocks in and getting them at the proper height. We'll start with some to hold that guy in, and we are hands free for a second. get this guy leveled up into place here. We're more or less just going for positioning of the 3 cactus right now. We'll get their height dialed in here in a second. So I really kind of like what we got working there. The first one that I have my hand on, I really like the height of it. I'd like to get the 2 behind it just pulled out a touch to kind of get the lowest, medium, highest that I'm going for. So this is a method I learned from Nigel Saunders anyways, to kind of plant low and kind of gently pull your plant out, and that'll help with that downward roots. So that first cactus is looking really nice, other than I would like to just rotate it quarter turn or eighth turn, that we get a little more definition and funk to it, if you know what I mean. This one will give a slight turn this way, a little bit of a nudge out of the soil here. I'm just scooping the soil kind of in its place as I'm gently just pulling on it. We don't want to damage the cactus or any of the roots. And I kind of like that height right there, so we'll just kind of go like that for now. Give it a bit of a spinny spin and give it a view from the back here. We kind of got the damage here in the back, which I didn't plan on or notice, but it's perfect. Perfect. So we're not really worried about the angle as much either. We can kind of finish dialing that in as we put rocks on top. So more or less the same thing here with this one. I really like the way it looks in the pot. We'll go with maybe something like that as far as height. I'm not sure if the camera angle doesn't pick up the definition and height as much. Let's try something. But we'll pull this guy out a touch more. There we go. Kind of make this guy loud and proud and stand out, as we all should. Be bold, my friends. After rotating to the front of the pot, I'm a little less happy with the way the planting looks. We're going to have to rotate and do a little bit of rearranging to kind of break up what I am seeing here. We want it to look less like one giant clump. First, I would like to rotate this cactus as I rotated the wrong way originally. So we're going to go back quite a bit there. Maybe something of the sort. So I really like the way this first cactus is looking in the pot. Let's kind of straighten this one out. Stand this guy up. And to me, see if we can move this guy in the pot just a little bit. I don't want to damage it or any, but we would like it to stand just a little bit back. As I move this one back, I think I'm going to move this one up a touch, kind of give us the definition we are looking for. To me, that looks very nice. Once we get them standing up perfectly straight, I think we'll be rocking and rolling. So we'll scoop more soil and go from there. I am going to pull this one up a touch more, actually quite a bit more, as we really kind of want to see it stand out from the others. And its callus can definitely handle it. I don't mind seeing a little bit of that, so I think that looks quite superb. All right, I will continue scooping and getting our angles adjusted, and we'll see you when the plant is pretty much completed. Just a quick update as we're getting the angles pretty close. I just want to tilt this one just a touch. We want it to kind of be hidden behind the centerpiece, which to me is this one. It's just got so much character, I guess, with the fuzz on it, the little bit of weird spot here. It's like a kind of a little bit different shape than the other two, so I think it just kind of stands out a little bit. I'll stand this guy a touch. I'd like to rotate it just a touch, but we got quite a bit of soil in here, so it's going to be a little harder than it would have. I think that looks really nice, especially with that curve right there. Wow. So that is all of the pre-mixed soil. Lately, I have been putting just plain lava rock on top of my cacti and succulent plantings, as I I don't like necessarily seeing the white perlite stick out or the lighter pumice stick out. So I think the red is a little more natural looking, and it also prevents some of the organic soil from kind of getting up and around your plant, and kind of dries out a little faster to prevent some damage that you could get. Not that it's likely, but very unlikely for a matter of fact, but you know what I'm saying. I think that is looking pretty good. We got the organic soil kind of spread out. We got our placing dialed in. Our angles are dialed in for the most part. Just pull this out just a slight touch. Push a rock in there to hold its weight. I mean, we obviously need to clean off the plants a little bit, but I'm not loving the planting from all angles, which is a little dissatisfying, and I think we can do a little bit to clean that up, just as straightening the plant from all sides, kind of just giving it a little bit of love and care, and just doing that makes it look so much better. Just a nice little straighten, a little wiggle, put some rocks in its place. Really kind of give it the love that we do show for our plants, and that we want to receive elsewhere too. Everything you put out is what you get back. So a little love into your plant, and you'll reap the rewards by getting to look at their beauty as they want to show off for you. I think this planting is looking just like I imagined, or better, and we'll put some top rocks on, zoom out a little bit so we can get a dial-in look of the whole pot, the whole plant. We'll kind of do some close-ups, and we'll clean up some of the mess. We got our bag of lava rock, just kind of give it a little bit of a spin and dump, just kind of to the edge of the pot. Man, good thing I got some new soil because we ended up using pretty much all that I had. As we're making a mess here, that's okay. Messes are fun. And that should be more than enough as we work it around and kind of get everything into place. See you in a second when everything's cleaned up and we'll get a nice look at what we did today. To me, this planting is looking out just stellar, better than I can imagine. I have everything done that I would like to get done, other than I'm seeing I forgot to clean off the cactus. So do a quick spin, and that's a good enough view of kind of what we're working with from here, and we'll get a close-up look. As we give this guy a bit of a hairstyling and cleanup, I think it's really nice. I think this was quite a fun project. It's been a long time since I've repotted or worked on multiple cactus at once, let alone columnar cactus, which are a little bit more work than, your round or your barrel cactus. So we'll just kind of throw a few of our rocks on top and we'll get a bit of a close up and kind of see what we all think. But I love the height of the cactus. I love the placement. As I spin it around, I think it's even nice from all angles. It kind of just complements and works with each other perfect. So very excited about how our blue torch cactus or Pilosocereus, or it goes by many names. If you have the exact specific genius that it is, please throw it in the comments, as I would love to know the specific genius, as it wasn't listed when I bought it from the greenhouse. I'm going to pull this guy just a touch. Just a touch. All right, a little bit more definition between the three. As I raise it up here, you'll be able to see that. It's just kind of a nice step. I'm going to go just a touch more. Pack that perfect. We'll do one more spin and we will say our goodbyes and till our next times. Everything's looking stellar and exactly as we hoped and dreamed. I really like that as the front of the pot. Thanks for watching. Have a great day and always keep growing.